inbounds play. 7 minutes to go. This is where it all begins. So let's run the tape here. Of course, my computer's getting glitchy now. Perfect. Here we go. All right, cool. Brunson smacks Taurean Prince in the face. First thing I want to point out, Deej, throughout these 7 minutes, you're going to see Josh Hart one pass away most of the time. And if we're going to do this, we got to make it at least somewhat hard on this other team to double. And if you put Josh Hart one pass away, it is going to be a double from his man every single time. So Austin Reeves throughout these 7 minutes will just be, without another thought, doubling hard on the ball despite being one pass away. You see all this room Josh Hart has here, and the Lakers don't care, right? So the first step to me is, as much as you can, getting Dante DiVincenzo one pass away from Brunson in these scenarios. So at least they have to cover more ground if they double off of somebody else, or if they double off of DiVincenzo, well, maybe we can find a shot for him, right? So Josh Hart one pass away. He's never going to shoot this ball. He's got to drive into space. And then we speak about the jump passes, right? Where he gets himself in trouble is in the middle of the floor. Now, normally when someone doubles, you create a 3-on-2 on the weak side. Problem is Precious Achiuwa is in no man's land here. They don't respect his shot. He tries to cut to make himself an option. Now Josh Hart has nowhere to go with the basketball, and he almost throws it away. And that's going to lead to, a last-second desperation heave from DiVincenzo here. Anything else you're seeing there, DJ?
Well, I mean, the first point is the big one, because it's not only the DiVincenzo ability to shoot off the catch, it's the ability to space out and be a threat from 26, 27 feet. Whereas, Hart as a shooter is, for anything above the break, is just, it's a mess right now. I think he's at, I wrote it down, 28% above the break in terms of shooting the ball from three. So, and not only that, he has to hug the line. Like, he's right up there. So you're taking a shooter that has very little gravity, who's very inconsistent with the times he's going to pull the trigger. And he's not even spacing to the degree that is going to stretch the defense at all. So DiVincenzo, you sort of get like the best of both worlds, a shooter and a elite spacer in terms of the distance he can get behind the line. So to me, that's crucial. And then also, like, just this position here of where Brunson is, it's probably, of all the traps and the blitzes that the Lakers threw at him, this is probably the easiest one in terms of, the sideline to contend with. This was a pretty rough possession for the Knicks. Probably would have been rough if you had spacers, because of where Brunson catches it. He has nowhere to go. The ball he has to get it to an outlet. And then from where you're saying, there's just nowhere for Hart to go. So I don't necessarily fault Josh Hart on this play. This was just it's bad alignment, and it's just an unfortunate position where Brunson initially catches the ball right there against the sideline. This is like death. It's a bad zone for him to have the ball and have any sort of ability to make a play for himself or for others. He just has to get rid of the ball and hope his teammate can make a play. But the spacing was just too rough on that.
Totally. The one thing I'll say is, like, Sims is doing a good job here sealing AD. And I know everyone was very spooked of AD by this point in the game. Mm-hmm. But I do wonder if the best option here was just hard to kind of go strong at Reeves and try to get an actual shot up. Not quite aggressive enough, I don't think. I think the fact that he's scared to shoot is leaking into the rest of his game. And, like, he still needs to be going aggressive to the bucket. Like, that's step number one.
Yeah. And you also have LeBron playing free safety the entire quarter.
Yep.
I mean, and that's where he's at his best at this point in his career, despite that one defensive possession against Brunson where he chased him all over the court. He's at his best. And the Knicks were just allowing him, as we'll see here, to play that position where he can just roam and dominate and just really make things tough.
100%. Yeah. So now next possession we have a horn set. Right, where Josh Hart is the one screening and Jericho Sims.
And they're going to set a flare. I saw this one, and I just don't know. Like, what are they? You're setting a flare screen for Hart, and you can let it run, but I just don't know, unless you're having him catch the ball in the slot, so he has like a seam where he can kind of stampede and he gets to the rim. But just the initial idea of, like, where is he going with this ball? Right.
So two things. Right. So at the start, okay, you're running horns. Again, what this creates, though, is a situation where the farthest guy away from the ball is DiVincenzo. And he cannot receive. There's no pass here. Now, Christie's not going to be in very heavy help because he knows he has AD to handle the rim, right? So he can stay pretty close to DiVincenzo. There's no skip pass available. Not that Brunson's great at throwing that skip pass anyway. So you're basically making DiVincenzo a non-factor when he's the second guy that can score.
Yep.
So that's already, again, like geometry of the floor doesn't make sense here. If we're going to try to leverage our two offensive players, then putting DiVincenzo in the weak side corner is not great. Now, that said, to your point, DJ, after this flare, if Brunson can hit Hart here, it takes him a little too long, right? If Brunson hits Hart a second earlier, so that Josh Hart can drive the gap to his right towards DiVincenzo to force Christie to make an actual decision.
Yeah, there was an opening there. You're right.
That can work, right? So at least AD is not quite in position yet to cut that off himself. So if the pass is made right about here, right? And now Hart can explore this lane right here. Christie has to make a decision. Now you leverage the shooter in the corner. But Brunson holds on to it for a while. And look, it's I don't blame him because throwing the ball to Josh Hart hasn't yielded much. But at the same time, getting off it early sometimes is the best way, right?
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. You run I just want to see the accuracy of the pass to where
Brunson's pass.
Yeah, I just want to see where he hits him. Does he give him an ability to sort of run into the catch?
No. It's on his left side.
Not really. The pass isn't great. And then, so before you got on, I was mentioning this. I think it was Dirty Dancer just talked about fatigue being a part of this. I think, I don't love a lot of the passing ability of Brunson. I feel like he struggles in some areas where, especially in this case, we're seeing some coverages where he's just not used to seeing at this rate, but he just seemed to be a beat off in terms of the read and making the play. And I feel like some of that you have to chalk up because I don't think he had sat for more than a couple of minutes at this point in the entire second half. So to me,
no, didn't sit in the second half. Played the entire second half.
Okay. So thank you. So he played the entire second half. So there have to be an element of, even if you're seeing it, are you just so tired where like that extra second of like process speed and making the play, how much does that play into it? But if that pass is made as soon as Hart is open on that flare and he can just like drive that slot, there's a play to be made.
Yep. And then again, so you have Hart, the Lakers are giving him all this space. And he's not, look, I'd love if he could shoot this. Do I blame him for not shooting it right now? No. I mean, it's just not.
You can see Christie, he's not closing. He's stunting.
He's smart, stay close to DDV.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a drive to the middle of the floor. Now, again, like you have AD. So he knows AD's here. He knows that LeBron's coming in. Achua's not an option in the corner. Hasn't made a shot in I don't know how long. So like, it's tough. At this point, it's tough. Like I'm not, there are lineup constraints that you can't really like at this point of the possession. I'm not sure what you do better. Maybe Hart can initiate some contact with Reeves here to get a better look. He ends up settling for this kind of tough mid-range jumper that he makes occasionally, but not tonight.
No.
All right, let's jump to the next possession here. All right. This was interesting. So they tried to run a little something here, right? So you got DDV kind of ghosting the screen. So I like bringing DiVincenzo into the action, right? Again, trying to leverage as a second guy who can actually score on this team. But he ghosts out.
Mm-hmm.
And what it looks like they're trying to get to is a little double pin down for him coming around, which I love. I think that's great. Kind of old school, just like run a play for a shooter when the shooter is one of your only options. But I want you to watch Achua and Sims on this action. So like, right, if you're going to run a double pin down, then one of your two guys needs to actually hit Max Christie. I mean, that is horrible. And DDV's got to be, honestly, and DiVincenzo's got to be a little tighter too.
A little tighter. Yeah. I mean, that was like kind of what, but you're right. I mean, Sims especially, and I almost like don't fault Sims as much here because if you run it back, I just don't know where the angle was for him to get in between. I mean, that's just at that point, that's a tough screen for Sims is sort of like, there just wasn't much of a window for him to get a shot on Christie there.
Yeah.
And Christie does a good job of saying really he's attached. I mean, there's not a lot of space.
Look, I mean, I and I'm watching this again now. And if my first thought watching it was like, come on, we got to set better screens. And now I'm looking at it, DiVincenzo, frankly, so I ran off a lot of these pin downs as a shooter. Like you have to be tight. I mean, this is really a poor job. He's way too rounded. and it's hard to get any. But I like the concept, right? It's just the execution's really poor. And you end up getting nothing out of that. Now, Josh Hart comes off the screen. And once Josh Hart's in the action, it's going to be a double. I also, again, to your fatigue point, DiVincenzo's been playing crazy minutes. So, like, how hard is it for him to run across the court, get tight on the pin down, and actually get to a spot? I don't know. It's tough to gauge, but you got to at least mention it.
I'm with you. Yeah.
And now you got this double on top again. Now we're in trouble, right? Because you got DiVincenzo at least is one pass away. So you get 3 flat here.
Yeah, and you don't have Hartenstein in the game at this point. He had the foul issues. So
that's a big deal, right?
Yeah, typically he's flashing maybe to the free throw line and just catching the ball. You get DiVincenzo to sort of like blind pig it. I mean, there's like things he could do to... We'll see that later, by the way. Yep. Yeah, right. And so there's things he could do to sort of make something out of what is completely nothing at this point. But I actually don't recall off the top of my head like how this play actually turns out. So let's
run it.
Bet you the Knicks don't score.
There you go. There's the flash by Sims, but they end up going to DiVincenzo, and that's a good pass. But look who's shooting it, right? So again, like there they got to and we ended up getting another possession out of it. But you got the alignment you wanted with DiVincenzo one pass away. It's like, okay, then what do you get out of that though? Because the double's coming from the corner now. They're playing 3-on-2. Achua's not a threat in the corner. Hart's not a threat in the corner that they really care about. Sims isn't going to be a threat. It's like, what do you go to? And so again, I to me, it's like, okay, you called a nice play to get a shot. You got to execute it well to get that shot. Like the margin of error is now so small, and the windows are so small with this kind of lineup that you have to nail the little things. Right? You're going to run a pin down for DiVincenzo, then run the pin down. Get your shot. Try to create something, a little advantage. Maybe 2 get to the ball at that point because DiVincenzo's that much of a threat. Maybe you can hit a pocket pass. Now you're actually working downhill. Something like that. But you got to nail the little things. All right, so now we got the subsequent inbound. The Knicks run their favorite play, which is just Brunson come back around. Look, and by the way, credit Taurean Prince. He's doing a really good job staying close, staying physical with Brunson. Now you got Precious Achiuwa one pass away. What do you think LeBron's going to do? Right? It's too easy. I mean, it's just too easy. And again, you got DiVincenzo in the weak side corner. Not a threat, not an option. It's just too easy to shrink the floor in this alignment. Like, what is Achiuwa? So again, maybe the best route here is to hit Achiuwa early and let him attack the gap. But Brunson goes opposite, reject, go the other way, and now you're in trouble. You got no help. The spacing here is non-existent. And it leads to a turnover. So,
yeah, there was a couple of times. I mean, they had one pick and roll on the left side where, I think the Knicks anticipated the Lakers icing it, and it gave Brunson the ability to get to a strong hand and just try to get downhill. But then you're still, they're converging on him at that point. So even though he's able to get away from the double and get to that his strong hand and to get to that floater, presumably there's still not a lot of space for him to actually get a clean look off. So I think they were, and we'll see, I'm sure more, especially when Hartenstein came in, I actually liked more of the Hartenstein pick and roll, getting him in the play, but there's not a lot of great answers from this. But I think as you're talking about, there was some low hanging fruit in terms of like where DiVincenzo's stationed, where Hart is, not hitting some of these sets that you're trying to run, the weak side actions like that double pin down. So there's definitely room to improve upon this, but there's still some like systematic, just baseline issues that are just going to make this specific alignment, especially with Hart in the game for Hartenstein. I mean, I'm sorry, for Sims and for Hartenstein, just doubly tough.
Yeah, and another thing is the Lakers are uniquely equipped to play defense like this. There's a lot of length and smarts and ground coverage between AD, Prince, LeBron.
You're 100%.
Make it hard.
This is the same team that took Steph Curry and top locked him the entire game and said, listen, you could back cut your entire game. We don't care because we have the best when he's locked in. I said it on Twitter. I think he's the best defender in the NBA, Anthony Davis. When he's completely locked in, he's healthy. There just isn't a lot you could do with him. His mobility, his strength, his timing, he's got it all.
Totally agree. I like this from Brunson, just trying to generate some pace. Maybe, DiVincenzo can create an advantage early in this possession, but a good job by the Lakers in transition defense to kind of shut that down. And now you're back in your half court. And what are we going to do? So Brunson's kind of sitting this one out, probably exhausted, trying to let someone else make a play. You got a little brush screen from Hart to DiVincenzo. Nothing really created. Now you're in trouble. Now Brunson comes and gets the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's Josh Hart. And here comes that double from Reeves. He's going to just watch him right there, right? Makes his choice. So Brunson gets off it early. Again, like Hart. So you have Davis coming out. It's not like you can hit this mismatch. It's not a mismatch. But what I like this from Precious Achiuwa. You're going to see him cut from the weak side. And that's going to occupy Christie, which opens up that skip. Now it's deep, right? And maybe DiVincenzo could have, let's see, if DiVincenzo could have maybe cut this distance down a bit, right? It's a cut from Achiuwa. The Knicks do a good job on the weak side of occupying help defenders, right? So Sims seals LeBron. Achiuwa cuts in. Christie has to account for that. And now look where Reeves is to try to recover to DiVincenzo. Now, could DiVincenzo have stepped in a little bit or stepped over a little bit? I think probably.
It's still a decent look.
It's a decent look. I'll take that look.
You can't fault, especially with what we've been seeing, and we're all watching this again. In terms of the looks the Knicks are getting, this is not the worst outcome in terms of the. And what I
kind of like about it is, even though and the spacing alignment's a little different here, because DiVincenzo in the past has been in that weak side corner, right? So at least you have him raised up where the next pass has him available. It's not the full skip, right? It's just kind of wing to wing. So again, I just think having DiVincenzo on one of the wings, one pass away from Brunson is important. This is a hell of a play by Precious Achiuwa, by the way, to give him credit, because he's fighting his tuchus off. He just can't shoot.
Now, did you think? I mean, it was
DiVincenzo should have shot
the ball, right? I mean, maybe he didn't. He was worried about he wasn't behind the line where his momentum was carrying him inside, and then just kind of threw him off a little bit. But in a game where you were not generating quality looks,
this is as good as you're going to get.
You're not going to get better
shoot it
right there. Yeah.
And also, it was an off-target pass to Brunson. Now, this was, look, he's a GOAT, man. Like, this is unbelievable one-on-one defense. He still got it when he wants to. Nothing. I don't know if I have much to say about that, other than LeBron James can still guard people when he wants to.
100%. And I will say, as a quick aside, I just have to get this out. There was this tweet. I mean, this video has been going around, and someone had posted, I forget who it was. It was basically, the point was, I'm not sure who this video is really highlighting here. The fact that we're going to talk about LeBron's defense, or the fact that the fact that he chased Brunson around is saying more about where Brunson is as a player, or as much as that is LeBron as a defender. So it does speak to where the Brunson has turned into just a phenomenal story, and really just just a dynamite offensive player, to where, like, we're highlighting the fact that LeBron was able to contain him for a possession. Great defense, but also it speaks to how good Brunson has become.
Absolutely. And not surprising that LeBron would turn it on when the Knicks are getting this much hype in the Garden. By the way, the amazing thing about this game is we've now gone 3.5 minutes of no buckets, no points. It's a 4-point. The Lakers weren't scoring either. And like to the Deuce should have been in this game earlier argument. I get it. Like, he does add another shooter, which you have to at least maybe respect. But like what Precious was doing on LeBron, and that way you could have your big on Davis, and like that was valuable even as this was going on. Now, the Knicks couldn't have necessarily predicted they'd have 0 points through 7 minutes. You just had to make a couple of these shots, some of which were makeable, to actually have a chance in this game. Unfortunately, they didn't get any buckets, but like they were doing a good job on the defensive end too. The Lakers weren't getting much, despite the fact that the Knicks weren't, there was no, Lakers weren't operating after a make, right? Like, it was all off of misses.
J-Mac in the chat mentioning Deuce for Hart is the sub to consider there. I mean,
Hart's part of the defense too, though.
Right.
Big part of it.
Yeah.
But I hear you.
And we've all talked about Tibbs, he trusts him.
Yep.
To close games. We've been talking about this for months and months now, but it's certainly a valid, because you can still keep the pressures on LeBron defensive alignment and get some more shooting on there.
Totally. I agree. All right. This was cool. So there's another timeout. Knicks are trying to generate something. I thought this was, again, a smart thought, right? So it's going to be a little entry at the elbow to Hart, and Brunson's going to come right off. And the reason that they're doing it this way is because he's going to get to him a strong hand, and you have DiVincenzo now in the strong side corner. And Christie's not going to be able to help off that strong side, right? So that's the concept. But I want you guys to watch Taurean Prince after the screen. Right? So it works. Reeves essentially switches, and you get a good drive, right? You get deep in the paint here, except the fact that Taurean Prince, instead of switching, just keeps pursuing and does not care whatsoever about Josh Hart as the initial screener.
Yeah.
Right. So eventually it becomes a double and even a triple as Davis comes over. Again, Achua's in the weak side. Nobody cares. Hart's left wide open. Nobody cares. Yeah. Christie stuck with DiVincenzo. That was the plan. But everybody else just converges on poor 6-foot Jalen Brunson in the paint. So go ahead.
We'll rewind it again just so we can see the initial toss and then the handoff, because I think because you mentioned what this does. One thing it does is it gives Brunson an ability to sort of get downhill without the ball in his hands. It's a get action or however you want to describe it, but it just gives him a chance to pitch it and then go without the pounding of the ball, and it gives him the ability to get downhill. You get a little brush there from Hart. He gets a little bit of Prince, which you think would benefit, but you're right. He just keeps pursuing, and then
I'm almost surprised.
Swallowed up.
Brunson's so good at going
a little
underneath
and kind of going
and drawing that like the way he did against after the injury.
Right.
I'm surprised he didn't pull this low pickup. Right. I'm surprised he didn't pull that on Reeves here. You probably get the foul.
Yeah.
Like this is a good action. And like more times than not, Brunson's going to draw contact here on Reeves. It's a good job. Credit to Reeves, who stinks defensively, but did a good job here. Staying with it. And then Brunson, I'm just not going to critique him for not making this pass at this point. Like, yeah, Hart's wide open, but like, what does that get you?
Listen, he knows his buddy.
He knows his buddy, his podcaster, his fellow podcaster. Achua's no one cares. And again, I like the concept. I don't even necessarily have any critique of this possession. Maybe it just speaks to the problem with this lineup is that there's not much of not many options. I mean, I would say if Brunson's a little fresher, maybe he makes a better play on this, but it ends up in a turnover.
It's rough, man. He had nothing going for him, Brunson. That is in terms of like any sort of breathing room.
Yeah. And by the way, he also was hunted defensively and gave up a couple of threes, 2 to Reeves and 1 to Prince.
One of them, it was like the Julius thing of like the hands were down. And
on all of them, I thought he was slightly inattentive and late to contest.
Right.
And he has been better at that this year. And I just think he's tired as hell. Who could blame him? All right. Again, so here we have a Josh Hart screen, right? And again, all that's going to do screening with Josh Hart is going to bring Reeves to the ball. Okay, so now Josh Hart's going to slip into here. Now
he doesn't make this pass, if I remember, right?
I believe he does. Let's check it. Oh no, he shorts it.
So if you bring that back a little bit, see, this is I want to just kind of run through to theorize. Like, let's say he makes that pass right now. All right, so Hart catches the ball and he's at the free throw line. And if you just look, what he would be looking at. So he catches the ball at the free throw line. He's staring at Anthony Davis without caring about his man in the corner, and LeBron James without a care of his man in the corner. So even if Hart catches this ball which would have been like the right play, this is like the classic, like Steph Curry's he doubled, Draymond catches it, he makes a play 4-on-3. Even with an advantage here by the numbers, it doesn't feel like it would have been an advantage if he catches the ball, based on the fact that the Lakers were able to zone this so easily. And LeBron and AD would have just.
Yeah, this is an intimidating sight here, isn't it?
Right.
These two guys. Yeah.
So I don't know. Is that like Jalen not able to get that pocket pass in there, or is he like reading that backside defense? But even if the play generates Hart with the ball off that blitz or trap, whatever you want to call it, I just don't think they're generating anything positive out of that.
Totally agreed.
Now Hart, someone busy just mentioned Hartenstein, I believe, does cut in this play. You see him like in the corner. He's ready to.
Yeah, here he goes.
There you go. Yeah, so he's gonna.
And by the way, Precious missed him. Right, so it's actually a really sneaky cut from Hart from the corner to the. And I think maybe Brunson even saw that. Right, so he's shorting it to Achua, and now Achua has the option of the high post or the cutter here.
But listen, what are we asking Precious Achua to do?
100%.
Too much, right?
It's a lot.
It's too much.
But that's probably the pass to make. He could have found Hartenstein.
You're right.
Now, the one thing I'll say, and let's just see how it ends. That now we end up in this mixer of, okay, Hart. That's, by the way, great job by DiVincenzo creating something out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Isaiah Hartenstein needs to be able to finish this.
This is where the intimidation, he just struggled
and his
mightily against AD.
Look, he's done everything well this season, with the exception of, and this continues to be a bit of a weakness, he is not a good finisher around the rim for a 7-footer.
With layups, yeah.
Doesn't dunk the ball enough.
Right.
And it that it's a great split by DiVincenzo, kind of was a helter-skelter possession, but they end up in a decent place for DiVincenzo with a great little split here of LeBron. Mm-hmm. That's a terrific move, which again, he continues to surprise us with some of the stuff he's able to do off the dribble. It's a great play by AD, but your center should be able to finish this, or at least get fouled. And
Hartenstein missed a couple right in the beginning of the fourth quarter, like 2 layups at the basket. Sort of like got the Knicks off to a rough start this quarter. He's great, but yeah, he's not a perfect center for sure.
It's a slight lack of athleticism, right? That he just doesn't quite possess. Now, just one thing I'd like to see them try is when they go flat like this, I would like to see it be DiVincenzo. Right. So DiVincenzo comes screens, and instead of rolling into space, flare to the opposite wing. Right. Yep. So ghost it and flare.
It makes it double harder.
Sometimes you create a miscommunication. Are we switching? Are we staying? Right. At least they can't just by default double the ball if you bring DiVincenzo to screen. And if they want to bring a double straight from the corner, again, that's a lot more ground to cover, and you might be able to create something out of that. But involve your 2 best players, who are right now your 2 best offensive players, sadly enough. But run that, fade off. If they bring 2 to the ball, now you can shuffle to DiVincenzo. If someone comes up from that, okay, now at least you have Hart shooting a corner 3, right, as opposed to something above the break. Just a thought of something they could counter with is DiVincenzo as the ghost screener and flare to the wing and trying to create something out of that.
Right. In actually, Oklahoma City they spam those Isaiah Joe ghost screens, and it adds.
They're amazing at it.
Yeah, they're so good at it. And
Boston also runs it great.
Boston, right? It's
all right. Here we go. What do we got next?
Let's run
it. Okay, so this is
wide open.
I don't have much to say about this one. LeBron James is standing there. He's theoretically playing defense. That's all I got. It's Precious Achiuwa theoretically can make 33% of his threes. I don't know. Watching him, I'm not really sure how that ever happened, but it does theoretically he should be able to hit a 3 once in a while. Alas, the Knicks get an offensive rebound and a good pass to Precious from Jalen. Oh, this might have to go into a second clip. Hold on, let me see. Great play by Hartenstein to deflect that ball out. Mm-hmm. Nice pass. Yeah, it goes to a second clip. Sorry, just bear with me. Again, great play by Hartenstein. Brunson with the hustle. And then Anthony Davis happens. And by the way, again, Precious Achiuwa, this is why he's struggled to find the rotation spot in the NBA. Despite what we've seen and been excited about, if you can't make threes consistently or at all, and you're not an explosive finisher at the rim, right? Which he's not. He's an okay one, I would say. Would you agree with that, DJ?
Yeah, not an explosive. He's agile. He's fluid but he's not a bursty athlete.
Right? I think OG, for example, probably goes up and dunks this, or at least draws contact or gets up to the rim. Right? He shows that ability to just catch right here and just explode up. Now maybe Davis blocks it anyway, but that he has to dribble to the weak side here and throw up a jump hook. Again, it's AD. It's AD, and he was special in the fourth quarter, which is a big part of the problems that we had. But he's just not a very good offensive player, Precious Achiuwa. I love what he's done for this team. What he's provided energy-wise and defensively has been unbelievable on the boards. He's been a revelation, but he's just not a very good offensive player. And Josh Hart right now is not a good half-court offensive player. So you have your 2 wings essentially are pretty poor in half-court offense, which is really the problem when it comes down to it. All right, we got a couple more possessions here. So I like this, right? Mm-hmm. Now, at this point, they were basically just they were down 6 or 7, whatever it was. So it's a quick shot. But I actually even though it's Anthony Davis, I like the idea of going flat with everybody but your 1 and 5. You draw Davis out. It's not going to be a double, right? Like this is a pretty decent situation.
Yeah.
And I think earlier in the game, Brunson might actually attack this instead of settling for a 3. But just like forgetting about this play, like conceptually, I like this setup a little bit better than where Hart's one pass away or Hart's screening. At least you get the 5-man out so they can't zone up as effectively. Also notice Deuce is in the game now. He came in for Precious at this point to try to generate some offense, which adds a little bit of spacing. And you get, it's not a good look this late in the game. Brunson's tired. He misses it by a mile. But like theoretically, conceptually, I like it. Any thoughts there,
I agree with you. And I thought, when they got Hartenstein as the screener, it just felt like it was better offense because you were just sort of like eliminating that easy double. I don't mind the shot either. It's a really good shot contest by Davis. He's more of like shallow drop, more close to the level. It wasn't the typical drop where Brunson can sort of step into it comfortably. And then if you could run it back, I just want to see where Prince was in terms of like, he's sort of like in the mix too. So it just didn't feel like Brunson had a lot of, that's not a lot of space. If you look at it, it's
just a great contest. It's a great contest from AD.
Yeah,
too.
It is.
And again, a really tired player trying to shoot an off the dribble 3 very late in the game.
It's hard. And then, of course, I mentioned the 6 for 24 since Julius got hurt. Brunson threes. It's not the number. It's the looks he's getting. He's trying to get them up, but they're just not the same,
Nope.
And it's going to be something the team is going to have to figure out. I know Tibbs, because Chris had asked him after the game about the looks, and Tibbs talked about transition and making the right play. But whatever the case is, he's going to have to work more to get even close to the same volume with threes. And even with that, it's not going to be the same quality. So it's just something the team is going to have to figure out. But it is something I'm worried about because the last thing we need is him working harder.
Yep. All right. We'll close with this one because I know we're running over time. All right. So I like this concept as well. Again, like late in the game is pretty much over at this point, but this is going to be a misdirection blind pig action, right? Mm-hmm. Blind pig means you're going to toss the ball to your high post man. That's Hartenstein here. And watch Jalen Brunson. Looks like he's going to come around Josh Hart, but it's a misdirection where he's going to now spin around the blind pig. And now you got him attacking downhill with actual space. I love this action. I thought it was great. Now what happens is Davis reads it and he's in a switch, right? Mm. That's a straight switch. Now, Brunson's going to get off what I think is a very good look. And again, one that I'm used to him making. And he missed it because it's late in the game and he's tired and he wasn't his night. But love the action. Thought it was a really nice idea. Would expect to see it again. The other thing you get out of this is if they do switch it, I'm hoping Hartenstein has the confidence and feels like he can get in the paint here and seal Prince before Brunson makes that move. And then maybe you can draw help from the post, which I think they should look at a little bit more in these types of lineups where there just aren't options, right? Like Hartenstein is 7 feet tall and he can make a jump hook and he might actually force some help if you can dump him the ball. So once the switch happens, another option is Brunson kind of holding, letting Hartenstein get some position, maybe Deuce clears to the other corner, and you set up that as a mismatch play.
Right. And if you just run it through, it looks like Reeves stayed pretty attached to Deuce in the corner, so you get the added benefit of a shooter in the corner. It's just takes away the help on the strong side.
This is a good look. I mean, he's maybe a little worried about the rear view contest from AD, and then good crash by Hartenstein. But anyway, I hope that was informative, and it was really fun to kind of go through. And hopefully the Knicks can learn some lessons from this and incorporate it for the Grizzlies. But this has been a lot of fun, DJ. Thanks for going through with me.
Yeah, love to do it again.